Right, so let's start from here. He was on the podium today and raised several concerns as far as the budget for 2016 is concerned. Now, he also took a look at the NPP strategy when it is given power in 2016. Now, he, for instance, spoke about industry, where he blamed the bad economic policies of President Mahama-led government for the negative growth of the manufacturing and industry sectors. Now, the situation, he said, has led to businesses collapsing and also increased unemployment.
At a news conference in Accra, the running mate for the opposition New Patriotic Party, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, faulted the NDC government for reversing gains in manufacturing and industry.
The last 3 years have recorded negative growth in the manufacturing sector, with growth at negative 0.5% in 2013, negative 0.8% in 2014, and negative 2% in 2015. If agricultural growth today stands as zero, agricultural growth stands as zero, and manufacturing is negative 2%, then what exactly has the government been transforming?
All right, and he did not stop there. He went on to talk about the energy sector, where he, for instance, lashed out at the Minister of Energy, describing him as incapable of resolving the energy crisis.
Ladies and gentlemen, over the last 4 years, Ghana has been experiencing severe shortages of electricity for domestic and industrial use. This has resulted in the implementation of a regular as well as irregular load shedding program that has been christened Doomsaw by Ghanaians. It is a fact that this government inherited an economy without Doomsaw in 2009. That is a fact. By 2012, however, Doomsaw was the order of the day. In response, this NDC government started a promising spree, which, with hindsight, shows either they did not quite understand the problem or they were deliberately misleading Ghanaians.
Right, and so what we'll do tonight is try and look at the various sectors that Dr. Bawumia has spoke about. Let's begin with the agricultural sector. Quickly, let me try and get you some figures as far as the growth of that sector or the contribution of that sector to the GDP of the economy is concerned. And beginning in 2009, it was pegged at 31.8% to 29.8% in 2010. Now, in 2011, 25.3%, 2012, 22.7%, and then 2013, that's 21.3%. And that's what more worrying is that in 2014, it stood at 1.7%. That's our agri sector's contribution. Of course, we'll take a look at the other areas too. But let me speak to a chartered economics and a senior lecturer at the University of Cape Coast Business School. He's just joined me on the phone line. Dr. Gachi, grateful for your time. But if you look at the agricultural sector and the fact that we've been recording growth and contributions to GDP, that is not too exciting. Perhaps, let's try and see. What do we have to do right? And even before we talk about that, what is it that we're doing wrong, particularly with that sector? Hello, Dr. Gachi.
Hello.
Well, Doc, can you hear me?
No.
All right. Let's rework the phone lines and quickly, and then we'll get back to Dr. John Gachi, a chartered economist and a senior lecturer at the University of Cape Coast Business School. Now, Dr. Bawumia, for instance, is reported to have said that government's willingness to borrow $1 billion on the international capital market at an interest rate of 10.7%, he describes that as recklessness. Now, particularly, he spoke about the agri sector and said that the fact that we're not recording growth in that sector means that government is simply not doing well. Let me try and see if the phone lines are better up. John, can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. So let's begin from here. Let's start with the agricultural sector. The concern of Dr. Bawumia is that we have not recorded impressive growth in that particular sector. And that means that government is simply not doing something right. Let's start our conversation from here. What do we need to get the agri sector growing and contributing impressively to the country's GDP?
Well, I think there are lots of things that we can do to ensure we improve upon the agri sector and to ensure that it contributes effectively to job creation, food security, and overall enhancement of the economy. We need now to be looking at our focus on agriculture, not only in terms of budgetary allocation, but also how we can integrate other sectors that contribute to agriculture. We need to work on the marketing infrastructure of agriculture. We also need to look at how we can integrate ICT into agri sector. Some countries in East Africa have started that. It's helping. Limited attention in that direction has started in Ghana. We need to enlarge that. We also need to see how we can integrate the road sector into agriculture. We need to focus on specific roads that will contribute to agriculture in the country. So for me, I don't see the focus of a government only in terms of how much it allocates to agriculture specific,
right?
How we coordinate other sectors of the economy that contribute effectively to agriculture.
All right. So for you, tying in other sectors of the economy to that of the agri sector is a way forward. Sure, you have gone through the 2016 budget. Now, did you see this direction?
Do you want to say, do I see whether we are moving in the direction I spelled out earlier?
Exactly.
Yes, that's what I said, that we are seeing limited education for some selected farmers across the country to use ICT, for example, to communicate to extension officers, to be educated on seed varieties, seed quality, and what to do on the farm. But that is not on a large scale. We have a lot of ICT know-how in the country among a lot of young people. How we are going to mobilize this ICT knowledge and integrate into agricultural sector, that is weak. We need to deepen that in the country. And as I said earlier on, we have seen the growth of the services sector, including financial services. How we are going to repackage mobile money services, for example, to focus on improving agriculture within the country, especially within the rural economic sector, which is basically agriculture based. We have also not focused so much on that. We see the financial sector growing, but how we are going to redirect the financial sector, that is part of the services sector, into agriculture is also lacking. So we need to work on all this overall. But beyond that, marketing is a key thing. We have talked about buffer stock or so. As to how that is fully integrated into the agricultural value chain, it's not known to many. We need to enhance that also. We have gone ahead to establish what we call commodities exchange. It's supposed to provide an integration of the financial system into agriculture sector, for which the financial sector will find a base for which they can now invest in agriculture. But we cannot see the deployment of that financial market infrastructure into agriculture fully, even though the law has been passed. So these are things I think we should speed up in order to promote agriculture, and not necessarily about a certain amount allocated to agriculture. That's the way I see it.
Okay, let's shift attention slightly to manufacturing before we talk about the debt issue, which keeps coming on every time there's a debate about the economy. Now, that sector, even before Dumso, the manufacturing sector, even before Dumso, was not that impressive. Now, the Dumso seem to have worsened it. Which is the way out? The fact that government says it is trying to deal with this energy crisis, is that enough? Is the end of the energy crisis perhaps the rise of that particular sector, the manufacturing sector? Or what should we do?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of things to be done there. Number one, yes, we need to solve the Dumso problem because the Dumso problem has increased the cost structure of many manufacturing people in the manufacturing sector, or businesses in the manufacturing sector. So, of course, we need to deal with the Dumso problem to go back into the favorable cost structure for them, because that also reflects in pricing in the country. Beyond that, we also need to look at how we can re-strategize to take advantage of globalization and, for that matter, over-liberalization that we are engaged in. We should understand that the base of our manufacturing sector is as a result of over-liberalization of our market, for which we engage in this liberalization. At the same time, we have drastically removed or reduced a lot of subsidies that are set as a cushion for the manufacturing sector in the country, thereby making our manufacturing sector less competitive as compared to other countries, for which many people who call themselves entrepreneurs only engage in importation and distributing in the country. That is where our problem started from. And we need to, if we want to solve this, it is not just about policy framework, but that policy framework should be very robust in dealing with how we are going to take advantage of the liberalized market. Because as it is now, it is becoming very difficult to close the market. We are becoming very open economy. That is where I think the problem lies.
So for you, Dumso, the end of Dumso isn't the solution to getting the manufacturing sector to play that key role in boosting Ghana's economy.
Yeah, the Dumso situation has multiple effects on the economy that people don't look at. Even our debt sustainability, Dumso has a role to play. Because if the Dumso continues and businesses are not productive, it means that their contribution to GDP will go down. And sustainability of debt is about comparing the level of debt to the GDP of the country. So if you are not contributing a lot to GDP because Dumso is not allowing you to be productive, it affects debt sustainability. If your debt is not sustainable, it doctors into other macroeconomic factors, other fiscal factors that actually make the environment unattractive. So Dumso is very, very key. When it is dealt with severely and then it is sustainable, then we will resume a growth path because productivity will resume, and we may gain out of that. So for me, Dumso is a key issue.
Let's wrap up our conversation on this. Now, government has said that the $1 billion that it raised on the international capital market that came with the interest rate of 10.75% is as a result of the fact that the investors see Ghana as credible and so are prepared to work with the country. On the other hand, the NPP, Dr. Bawumia, is suggesting, for instance, that is recklessness because Ghana could have gotten that $1 billion at a more lower interest rate. Now, you sit in the middle. What do you think?
Well, from where I stand, I find it difficult to agree that Ghana could have gotten that $1 billion at a lower rate, because we went to the market with a certain strength. We went to the market at the time that we have all agreed that our economy is not doing well. Our macroeconomic indicators have not done well. Our credit ratings have not done well. Then we also went into the market at the time our major commodities are actually suffering price volatility. We went to the market at a time when the U.S. has actually made a huge policy pronouncement that affects the capital market. That it is possible for many economies around the world, many investors around the world, to start routing their money back to the U.S. economy. That is a huge and turbulent situation. And I wonder if there is any way by which we could get a better deal. You will also realize that all the countries, be it Rwanda, Poland, that went to the market at that time, you will realize that their rates were higher than the previous time that they went to the market, reflecting on the condition of the market. Then you must also look at the kind of investors you need in the market. Where Poland actually concentrated specifically on institutional investors, mainly coming from Germany, part of Europe. They carry along with them a certain macroeconomic implication of the region. Look at the average interest rate in Africa. Then with our own macroeconomic situation, there is no way we could get a better deal. For me, the deal, though expensive in our understanding, is a reflection of the market condition.
Dr. Gashi, I'm grateful for your time tonight.
Thank you very much.
He's a senior lecturer in economy at the University of Cape Coast Business School, and also a chartered economist talking to me about some issues that has to do with Dr. Bawumia's press conference, the NPP's press conference. But you can go there onto our social media platforms and also post your comments about what you think about Dr. Bawumia's lecture, the issues he raised, the fact that he, for instance, thinks that borrowing $1 billion at 10.75% interest rate is recklessness. Post your comment there and let's share what you have with the rest of the world. That's how we're wrapping up with the big one for tonight.